You're listening to the micro version of the Savage Lovecast. www.savagelovecast.com.
If you're stuck in a relationship quandary, or if you're looking for sexual harmony, well, there's nothing you can't ask on the Savage Lovecast.
Anti-gay right-wing evangelical Christian lunatic Linda Harvey, founder of the SPLC designated anti-gay hate group Mission America, sat down with my old pal Peter LaBarbera, founder of the anti-LGBT hate group Americans for Truth About Homosexuality, and had a little chat about all the sick, sinful, sex-crazed, predatory gays out there recruiting children into the gay lifestyle via GSAs in high schools. That used to stand for Gay Straight Alliances. Now it stands for Gender and Sexuality Alliances. Anyway, Harvey and LaBarbera both backed Donald Trump because, of course, they did. 81% of evangelicals voted for Trump, and 99.99% of evangelical leaders backed Trump. And, oh, hey, remember when Trump told some 14-year-old girls they'd be dating him soon? Remember when Trump admitted on Howard Stern to marching into the changing room to look at naked teenage girls during the Miss Teen USA pageant? Harvey and LaBarbera and the entire evangelical movement also backed Roy Man-of-God Moore in Alabama, a man who not only sexually assaulted teenage girls, allegedly, but also chased one girl into her high school. Not a week, not a day goes by that we don't hear about some high-profile preacher or leader on the religious right getting busted for child porn or child rape or regular old rape. There's even a Me Too style hashtag just for churchy rapists, hashtag #ChurchToo. And this week, almost immediately after LaBarbera and Harvey wrung their hands about GSAs in high schools, recruiting, preying on teenagers, we learned that Memphis megachurch pastor Andy Savage, no relation, sexually assaulted a 17-year-old girl when he was working at a Baptist church in Texas. It's pretty harrowing. He drove the girl from the church to an empty field, telling her it was where he wanted to build his own church. And when he parked at the end of the dirt road, he pulled out his cock, asked her to suck it, opened her shirt, fondled her breasts. Then he jumped out of the truck. Reports don't say if he came before he jumped out of the truck, but this certainly does sound like post-orgasmic panic and regret. He jumps out of the truck, falls to his knees, begs for her forgiveness, and tells her she must take this to the grave. And the girl, when her grades began to slide, when she slipped into depression, went to the pastor of the church, told him what had happened, and he blamed her for participating. Back to Linda and Peter. They spoke on Mission America, Harvey's radio show. Let's listen in.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, how do we re-horrify people about the sin of homosexuality? People are becoming so comfortable with this. I mean, even people on our side. We need to re-horrify them.
I think it's very complicated. I think it comes back to gaining moral understanding that is found in the Word of God. We have to respect God and God's values again.
It used to be easy for people like Harvey and LaBarbera to horrify the straights. For centuries, really for millennia, they only had to point to a couple of clobber passages in the Bible. They keep repeating those passages to each other and screaming them at us, of course, but they had to come up with a secular rationalization for their hatred, at least until they turned the United States into a theocracy, which is their stated goal. And it worked for a while. For decades, all they had to say was, those guys put their peepees in each other's poopers, and that was enough. That was horrifying for a lot of straight people. They still say that. They obsess about it. A quick look at Peter LaBarbera's Twitter feed reveals that he can hardly think of anything else. But lots of straight people put their peepees in each other's butts too, both flesh and blood peepees and strapped-on peepees. And lots more straight people are honest about that now. And lots of gay people don't put peepees in their butts or anyone else's butts. 25% of gay men never have anal intercourse. In real numbers, not percentages, there's more straight anal intercourse on any given Saturday night in this country, on this planet, than gay anal intercourse. For a long time, back when they were horrifying straight people with the butt sex thing, they were also herding believers into church basements and forcing them to watch footage from gay pride parades mixed in with, and I shit you not, graphic clips from extreme gay porn. Gay men beating each other, pissing on each other, fisting each other. And that was pretty reliably horrifying for churchgoers back when straight people could pretend that other straight people didn't do and enjoy the exact same quote-unquote perversions. It's hard to argue that gay sex acts are uniquely sinful or adventurous after you've caught your straight spouse watching DPATM femdom BBC gangbang porn on multiple occasions. Anyway, I feel kind of sorry for Linda Harvey. Not really. I mean, something that used to be so easy, horrifying the straights, is so much more difficult now. Poor Linda is having to work harder than ever to convince the average straight person that all the gays are poop-smeared child molesters that they should be afraid of. Not to be confused, of course, with the gun-toting, pussy-grabbing child molesters they should vote for. Since straight people now know that there really isn't anything gay people do that straight people don't also do, oral, anal, water sports, S&M, DP, CBT, etc., and since telling straight people that the gays have lots of crazy sex is a lot likelier these days to instill feelings of jealousy rather than horror, Linda's going to have to point to something else, something uniquely gay and uniquely horrifying. I've been racking my brain all weekend, and I didn't come up with anything good. Frosted tips, straight people got those too. Tramp stamps, they got them first. Double penetration, and equal opportunity ass time. Re-horrifying people about a minority is hard. Sadly, it's not impossible, as history demonstrates again and again, but it is an uphill climb that requires a sustained effort from an active group of haters drawn from the majority and the active embrace or passive acceptance of the majority of the majority. And with the particular superpower enjoyed by sexual minorities, Linda, I'm thinking you can lube that genie up all you like, but you are not going to be able to stuff him back in the bottle. That superpower, our superpower, is that gay people are distributed randomly throughout the population. And with more and more gay people out now in the West than ever, right-wing Christian activists aren't attacking the other when they attempt to horrify or re-horrify people about homosexuality. They're attacking family. They're attacking friends, coworkers, or neighbors, Ellen, Anderson, Rosie, Andy, but more importantly, family. Not some scary gay person without a face who's covered in poop and starting the GSA. Your son, your uncle, your nephew, your dad. Good luck with that, Linda. All right, coming up on today's show, on the micro-free edition of the Savage Lovecast, we've got tons of your Q's and a lot of my A's. And coming up on the Magnum subscription edition of the Savage Lovecast that you can subscribe to at savagelovecast.com, Erika Moen of Ojoy Sex Toy joins us with another sex toy recommendation. All that plus more calls on the Magnum on today's show. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Active. Active produces audio-based fitness workouts, programs, and challenges created by certified expert personal trainers, available online and through their mobile app so you can work out just the way you like. New members get 50% off an annual membership plan featuring unlimited workouts. Visit aptiv.com/savage and the discount will be automatically applied during checkout. That's aaptiv.com/savage. MeUndies makes feel-good underpants your butt will be proud to wear and you will be proud to be seen in. They will be the most comfortable pair of underwear you will ever own, and to check it out yourself, go to meundies.com/savage. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Boll & Branch, luxury, affordable, fair trade certified sheets. Get $50 off a set of sheets plus free shipping by going to bollandbranch.com and entering SAVAGE.
Hey, Dan. Mid-30s, straight married guy here with a question about kink in a long-term relationship. My wife and I have been together for 15 years. And when we started seeing one another, we were both 20, and neither one of us really had a lot of experience at that point. She was a virgin, and I only had one prior partner. But we had well-matched sex drives. You know, we get along in all the other ways that make a relationship work. And so, you know, fast forward to now, my wife is still totally vanilla, but I've really discovered in the last, 5 to 7 years that I'm really turned on by bondage, like female domination, pegging. And it's something my wife has been GGG enough to try with me, but it's really clear that she's not into it. And it's something that has really become, a big part of my erotic imagination. I, jerk off to that all the time. But, she's not really into it. And I've not been able to figure out a way to make it more of a turn on for her. I've tried to explain to her, how horny that makes me, how sexy I think she is. But she doesn't still doesn't seem into it, and there's nothing really so much of a boner killer as, getting pegged, but she looks bored or, just frustrated. We've got 2 kids. I'm not going anywhere. I don't think my wife would, I'm 99% certain my wife would not open up the relationship. So I wanted to call and ask if you might have any kind of workaround here. Do I just keep, jerking off to this fantasy and realize it's not really going to be very well realized in real life? I've tried to make it something my wife's into, but it doesn't seem like it's worked. Anyway, I know you always say it's kind of important to put your kink cards on the table, but I feel like this is kind of the exception to that of, we didn't have any kink cards to begin with, and now I just kind of feel stuck, and it's kind of affecting the rest of our sex lives.
Midori, who's a respected kink and sex educator, way ahead of the curve on the kink and sex positivity front in San Francisco. She runs an event called Fort Femme, and it's a seminar. It's a weekend where women who are interested in femdom relationships, some of them who've been asked to step into that role by their submissive partners, go and learn all about how to be a sexually dominant woman. And one of the things that she tells women to release them from the anxiety that they often experience when they're being asked to step into this role is, rather than saying, how do I live up to these images that I've seen of kinky sex, of kinky women? Ask yourself, what do I want right now? And then make that demand. What do I want from my partner right now? And it might be, as Midori said on our program, just a cup of hot tea right now. That's all I want. And they can order their submissive partner to go get them that. And you can tiptoe and take really tiny incremental baby steps toward that kind of femdom play and relationship. And one of the wonderful things about kink and dominance as a mission is it's not just about genital sex. It's not just about when you're having sex. It can seep out consensually and by mutual agreement in ways that give an erotic charge to everyday interactions, like go make me some tea. Not, would you do me the favor, honey, of going to make me some tea? But I am your mistress and I am ordering you to go make me some tea. And a lot of people find that very invigorating and arousing. And it becomes this playful, seductive dance that people who have a DS dynamic that can be very pronounced during sex enjoy in less pronounced ways during everyday activities. So I think the first step that you should take with your wife is backing way the hell up and talking about femdom relationships and talking about your submissive desires in a way that isn't requiring her right out of the gate to perform varsity level femdom maneuvers like pegging your tied up ass. That's high level femdom stuff. And there might not be anything in that for her that she can perceive at this moment. Often there are some women out there who really enjoy pegging for their own sake. They really enjoy the transgressiveness of it, the inversion of gender roles and expectations. They really enjoy fucking the shit out of some guy, even though they're not getting a lot of sensory input themselves, because their nerve endings, their critical erotic nerve endings, aren't necessarily in play at that moment. They do enjoy it. It turns them on. But some women, it doesn't turn them on. There's really nothing in it for them. They're giving pleasure to their partner. That might be more exciting for your wife, to reward you with that pegging if you've given to her in many ways, if you've satisfied other demands that she has made in the run-up to your being pegged. Now, maybe this is the approach you've taken and none of this works, and being dominant and seeing you with a dildo sliding in and out of your ass is just a libido killer for your wife, and she's not going to be able to go there. But if a pegging was something that she rewarded you with after, say, you've made her tea 10 times, or you've gone down on her 10 times and left your own dick in your own pants, and it was all about her pleasure, perhaps she wouldn't regard pegging then as this thing that she does for you in absence of your doing anything for her. So I think you should continue to have these conversations with your wife. You also might want to revisit not the openness discussion, but the erotically charged environment discussion that can sometimes lead to openness and often not. And talk to your wife about attending some kink events, going to some play parties together where you're only going to touch each other and you're only going to observe, and she is not expected to bust out a million femdom moves in that moment, but you're just going to move through that environment so that she can see other people, other hopefully loving couples, playing and engaging in BDSM practices. And maybe that would open her up. Also possible that will shut her down if this is really a libido killer for her. If you determine that it is actually really a libido killer for her, then you may not get to explore these things except through fantasy. You say that this is already having a damaging impact on your shared sex life. And yeah, that is a thing that happens when one person's erotic script, the kink cards they didn't know they had when they got together, that emerged later in life or surfaced later in life, when that can never be realized, that can instill a certain degree of frustration and resentment, a desire instead to go masturbate on your own with your fantasies at the computer with porn that is meeting your need, instead of having the vanilla sex with your partner that used to meet your needs and right now just reminds you of everything you can't have. And I think the key for a successful kink discordant relationship is to find a way where everyone gets what they want, where you get your needs met and she gets her needs met. And maybe that's not an open relationship, but you having her permission to occasionally go to a kink party and play, not to have intercourse, maybe even not to come or touch anyone else in the swimsuit area, but just to have some bondage time, submission time, licking boots time, crawling on the floor time, whatever it is that appeals to you about femdom, whatever it is that makes your dick hard, that you can masturbate about later, but in the moment you're not going to do anything except throw yourself into the play. Maybe she could allow you to do that. And I do know couples, I've heard from couples, where that was the solution. And that removed the resentment that was screwing up the vanilla sex that they'd always enjoyed. Because in a kink discordant relationship, when the kinky partner is told, this can never happen for you, it eats away at them that my partner is getting from me all the vanilla sex that they require, all of their needs are being met. And this very important thing to me, and it's easy for non-kinky people to look at kinks and roll their eyes and ask, why is this so crucial? Why is this so important? But for a kinky person, these things are important. And they kind of need them. They need some outlet. They need some release. And for some people, that's porn and that's enough. But for others, porn and masturbation fantasy is not enough. And if your wife can allow you to have some outlet, have some release, then you're not going to carry your resentment at what you don't get into the vanilla sex that you used to enjoy and could still enjoy and should still enjoy with her. So these are conversations that you need to have with the wife, ongoing conversations, also drawing her out at the same time about what she wants, what her needs are. But again, you're asking for permission to find a way to incorporate these things into your sex life. You need to be at the same time extending permission to your wife to ask for whatever it is that she might need. And that might mean things she hasn't disclosed to you yet. There might be things about your wife's interests or needs that she's held back or that she's too ashamed right now to cop to or put out on the table herself. Or she might just be 100,000% vanilla. It is possible for vanilla people, though, 100,000% vanilla people, to have a need, to have a particular need that they haven't shared. That's vanilla, but maybe involves someone else or something else. So while you're talking to your wife about what you need, constantly check in with her about her needs and make sure they're being met, and be open to revelations from your wife about needs she's only coming into awareness of now at this stage of your marriage, or needs she's bottled up for a very long time and has been afraid to share with you. And if your wife is open to it and you are on the East Coast, Midori is hosting a Fort Femme Dominance Intensive in New York City, January 26th through the 28th. Go to fortfemme, FORTEFEMME.com for more information about Midori's workshops for wannabe dominant women and their wannabe submissive partners.
Hi, Dan. I have a question about sub-dom relationships. I just ended my first date with a dom who I met on SatLife. Thanks to your encouragement to join that site. I really love it. But after all the discussions we had, I'm having a lot of conflicting feelings where I feel very sexually aroused and very happy in that respect, but also many feelings of shame. And I'm wondering if maybe you or your callers could help me unpack those feelings, because I feel this is what I want and what I should be doing. But there's so much inside me that tells me it's wrong. And I guess that's normal from what society tells us. So yeah, any suggestions you have to overcome these feelings and just enjoy this journey would be really appreciated.
I'm afraid I can't ask my listeners to help you unpack your feelings, because Northern Michigan's Lake Superior State University released its 43rd annual list of words banished from the English language for misuse, overuse, and general uselessness a couple of days ago. And on the list with Let Me Ask You This, impactful, nothing burger, tons dish, drill down, let that sink in. And the top vote getter, fake news, is the word, one of my favorite words, something we do here on the podcast frequently, unpack. We are not supposed to use, according to Northern Michigan Lake Superior State University, we're not supposed to use unpack anymore. So I can't ask my listeners to help you unpack these feelings. I can only ask them to help you interrogate these feelings, examine these feelings, turn them over in your head, look at them from all angles, but unpack, that we cannot do. Also, something you're not going to want to necessarily do is completely get over that tension between your sexual persona and your public persona, but between the person that you were raised to be, the person that you're supposed to be, and the dirty little submissive sex monster that you also are and want to be and are going to be in a healthy, consensual way with healthy, consenting adult partners, because that tension is something that makes those transgressive desires erotic and arousing. So in a way, you don't want to completely lose that feeling. And I promise you, if you were raised, quote unquote, right, you may never, ever lose that feeling entirely. That feeling of, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this, but here I am doing it. How exciting that is. You want to ride that wave. That feeling really is the wave that a lot of people who are into kink, into dominance and submission, they surf on that wave of revulsion, disgust, self-loathing, but they found a way to contain it. They found a way to take those feelings, and rather than experiencing them like an ocean that they are bobbing in, they experience them like a tub that they are splashing in. And I guess that's not a perfect analogy, because I don't think you could make a wave in a bathtub you could surf, but I think you follow my meaning generally here. You also want those feelings to act as a bit of a control, especially when you're new and you're just getting into it, because you want to take baby steps. You don't want the sexual arousal of finally getting to do these things that you've always fantasized about and always wanted to do, to stick with the water metaphors, to prompt you to jump into the deep end of the pool when you don't know how to swim yet. You want to stay in the shallow end of the pool. So allow those feelings of, what am I doing, to be a control, to keep you in the shallow end of the pool for now until you know yourself better. And you've been able to test slowly by taking baby steps whether the things you fantasize about in reality are things that you're going to enjoy in the same way that you've enjoyed them when you've masturbated about them. Sometimes we fantasize about something and we masturbate about it. We are sure that we are going to love it, and then we do it. And the doing of it, or the having it done to us of it, isn't as sexy, isn't as arousing. You want to tiptoe up to those big items on your submission fantasy checklist, so you don't ruin everything else you enjoy about dom sub games by biting off more than you can chew, by jumping into the deep end of the pool too soon. So you want to take baby steps from the shallow end of the pool to the deep end of the pool. You can harness those feelings of shame, usually a useless feeling, but you can harness those feelings of shame not to prevent you from doing these things, but to help you do these things gradually, slowly, to roll it out, baby step style. But yeah, rather than regarding those feelings of shame as somehow disqualifying and a sign that maybe you don't want to do those things, you need to look at those feelings and say, this is part of what arouses me about these things, and I'm going to transgress against the person I was raised to be, the person I'm supposed to be, the person perhaps that I would like to be, and I'm going to transgress against that public persona in an erotic, controlled, consensual way with a partner of my choosing that I've gotten to know and I trust enough to go to this place with, this transgressive place, this place where rather than feelings of shame paralyzing my erotics, paralyzing my junk, leaving me feeling frustrated and incapable of really doing the things sexually that I want to do, that these feelings are part of what fuel that, part of what makes it so exciting to do these things. And in that way, you can build a firewall around those feelings of shame, that there's something that these feelings no longer control you, but you control them, that you have walled them off, that they are in this contained space, and you can reach into those feelings when you want to and pull out a little bit of it to fuel your erotic imagination and then throw it back in when you're done. Also, for people who are just getting into BDSM or Dom Sub, maybe that's going to be a theme on today's show, more calls coming. This is where the importance of aftercare can be crucial. People will do things, they'll explore a kink, they'll try something new, and immediately after the orgasm, feelings of shame or self-loathing or what have I done can really wash over someone. And it's important for the top, and I hope you've had conversations with your potential new top caller about this. It's important for the top, when the bottom is emerging from the scene, in the afterglow, to be loving, to be there for the bottom, to hold them and talk to them and reconnect with them as equals. Even if the dom sub thing is a constant thrum under the surface in the relationship, at that moment to really be tender and giving and loving, which someone can do in a context of a DS relationship where the DS is always there. And that's crucially important, especially for a newbie like you. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Aptiv. Aptiv produces audio-based workouts, programs, and challenges created by certified personal trainers, available through a mobile app so you can work out just the way you like. They offer a huge variety of expert trainers to guide you through your workout, and you can choose the personality you like best. And they offer great music playlists perfectly timed to the intensity and pace of the selected workout. Whenever and wherever you like to work out, at the gym, at home, outside, when you're traveling for business, Aptiv is ready to go along with you with their mobile app. It's like having a personal trainer in your pocket, which is just where we like them. Aptiv has classes for all fitness levels, from beginners to intermediate to advanced, and with more than 2,500 workouts available on the platform and 30 plus new classes added each week, there's always a new workout for you to try. You will never, ever have to be bored by your routine at the gym again, or simply pick up the type of guidance you are feeling up for that day. Whether it's a calming long-distance run, crazy high-energy coaching, or boot camp style intensity. And they offer special features like a full maternity program, marathon training programs, and more. Subscriptions start at $9.99 billed monthly, or $99.99 for a full-year membership plan. For a limited time, new members get 50% off an annual membership plan, which is just $49.99 for the whole year. Visit aptiv.com/savage, and the discount will be automatically applied during checkout. That's aaptiv.com/savage.
Hi, Dan. I'm a 23-year-old straight cis male living in San Francisco. I'm calling for help in understanding my desires. I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to sex, I think. Sadomasochism doesn't turn me on, especially giving and receiving pain. I enjoy the sensuality and pleasure-giving aspect of sex. So I fantasize and masturbate to the thought of hooking up with multitudes of strangers, especially through dating apps or social media sites like Tinder, OkCupid, and even FetLife. I'm kind of ashamed of this desire because I feel like there's a commodification of women's bodies. It's sort of like I'm window shopping for things and not people. It seems like something a red pill asshole pickup artist does, but it still really turns me on. There are a couple of reasons I think it does. The fleeting sensuality, sharing your body in the most intimate ways with a stranger, and experience the bodies of many partners. Though this is my fantasy, I don't act on it other than in my head, but I'd like to start and not be an asshole. Respect is incredibly important to me, and I don't want to disrespect or hurt any of the feelings of my future partners by having them feel like they've been used for sex. Is it possible to live out my fantasy while still respecting partners' feelings? How?
It is entirely possible to have sex, anonymous sex, with a stranger or a near stranger or a friend you haven't met yet in a way that doesn't dehumanize or objectify them. If you are having anonymous sex with someone who wishes to be having anonymous or nearly anonymous sex with you, who wants that one off as badly as you do, who is taking pleasure from you as you are taking pleasure from her, and in that moment when you guys are together, that the giving and taking of pleasure is mutual, and you're both making an effort to meet each other's needs, not treating each other like masturbatory aids, that's not commodification. That's not objectification. That's not red pill assholery. That is a successful, very, very short-term relationship. We don't talk about STRs. I think we should talk about STRs. We talk about successful LTRs all the time and what goes into a successful LTR, and we examine the best practices of successful LTRers so that other people who aren't yet in the LTRs they aspire to be in can have the best possible LTRs ever once they're in one. We don't talk about STRs, short-term relationships, how you can have a successful short-term relationship. And what you're interested in is many are what you fantasize about, many extremely short-term relationships. You can do that. There are places you can go. There are people you can find on apps and on Craigslist who are after what you are after. And if you treat those people not as contemptible because they're willing to do what you want, sometimes people want to have incredibly, for lack of a better term, sleazy sex. They themselves want to have this sleazy sex, and they sneer at and look down at the people who also want the same kind of sleazy sex that they want, because those people are sleazes. You know you're not a sleaze, even though you want to do this sleazy thing. That one sleazy thing exists in this context of all your other qualities and traits that you are aware of, because you know yourself as a three-dimensional human being with many qualities and traits, some of them contradictory, but they look at the person who responded to their Craigslist ad that was looking for that sleazy hookup, and they think that person is just a sleaze through and through, and I don't have to treat that person with respect or kindness or compassion, even for the 20 minutes we negotiated to spend together. And you know what? You do need to treat that person with respect. And that person is as multifaceted and in some ways contradictory a human being as you are. And that exchange, that meeting, that coming together can be affirming and loving for the time, pre-agreed to time that you're going to be together. It can also be scalding and dehumanizing and jerky and leave both people feeling diminished if that's what those two people bring to that exchange, if they treat each other with contempt. So, yeah, you can do this. There are sex clubs you can go to where there are people who just want to have a one-off. You can get online. You can find women out there. Women have these fantasies too. There are women out there who want many sex partners and don't want an ongoing connection to guys that they hook up with once. It's part of the thrill for them too. Find someone who wants what you want. Golden rule that shit. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat them as well as you would hope and like them to treat you in return. And then part. It's really not that hard. But it can lend itself to abuse. It can draw out abuse from people who otherwise wouldn't be so abusive. It's a little like the internet. People talk about how the anonymity of the internet allows people to be, without consequence, their worst selves. It can often bring out just the awfulness in a person. They're an anonymous commenter online. They're on subreddit being a dick. And sometimes people do that with anonymous sex. I'm never going to see this person again. There's no accountability here. I don't have to treat this person well. You should choose to treat that person well. You should hold yourself accountable, even in moments and circumstances where your mom isn't going to burst into the room and hold you accountable. And then you can have this in your life. You can enjoy your fantasies with a clear conscience. We know you're probably thinking about a gym membership for the new year. Why don't you couple that, pair that with a commitment to comfort and style by signing up for MeUndies membership too, since you will be stripping down at the gym and people will be seeing your underpants. With a MeUndies subscription, you get fresh new undies or socks delivered to your door every month. Choose from bold classic or adventurous prints. Nancy swears by her adorable boy shorts, especially the camo print they just sent her. Switch between membership plans, cancel or skip a month anytime. And just because the stupid holidays are over doesn't mean you can't send someone a gift, you fool. MeUndies are the most comfortable pair of underwear you will ever own, made from a sustainably sourced, naturally soft fabric that is 3 times softer than cotton. And right now, MeUndies has an exclusive offer just for my listeners until January 20th. Get 20% off your membership and free shipping. That's 20% off an already discounted membership. And MeUndies is so sure you will love their underwear, they even offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. You order a pair, and if you don't love your first pair, you get a full refund. Become a member today and start enjoying all the perks of having a MeUndies membership and start wearing the best underwear of your life. Go right now to MeUndies.com/savage. That's MeUndies.com/savage.
Hey, Dan, I'm a 17-year-old straight male high school student, and I have a bit of a problem. So there's this girl that I went out with a couple times, and things were going really well. And then a couple weeks into the relationship, I found out that she was actually 14 years old. And I had a bit of a problem with that. She didn't lie to me or anything, but I felt uncomfortable dating and or having sex with a 14-year-old. And she was completely cool about it, and she agreed to stay friends, and everything was fine. But she did ask if we could continue engaging in what I'll call sort of over the phone, via text, dirty talk conversations that we've done a couple times in the past. And I agreed, and we've done it a couple times since then. And it's always been fun, and there hasn't been any problems with the relationship. But I'm starting to question whether or not this, too, is ethically not okay because of the age difference. So is there something morally wrong with me engaging in slightly kinky over-the-text dirty talk with a 14-year-old? Is it hypocritical for me to be okay with this but not having sex with or actively dating her?
I would encourage you to go to a really terrific website called freerangekids.com and click on the tag sexting, where you'll find information about a bill currently working its way through Congress that mandates a 15-year prison term for teens who get caught sexting. It gets worse. There are teenagers on sex offender registries, or adults who are on sex offender registries now because they thought, innocently texting with someone who was underage. And they either didn't know they were underage, or they didn't think it was a problem because there was no actual physical contact. They were just sharing fantasies, maybe sharing pics. Then they get busted for child endangerment, child pornography, corrupting a minor. You are one angry parent away from a sex offender registry, or the risk of landing on a sex offender registry for the rest of your life. What if her parents see those texts and go to the police? You have got to stop this. I would encourage you, perhaps, to get on the phone with this girl one last time and send her photographic proof, screen grabs from your phone that show that you have deleted these conversations, and ask her to do the same. So they aren't lurking on her phone. And then one day mom and dad get mad. They don't know where she is. She was out drinking and comes home blotto, and they read their daughter's text messages to find out what's been up because they're worried about her. And they come across all of your sext messages. They won't be able to tell that you haven't actually met up in person and done these things. And the things that you're doing themselves, depending on where you live, depending on how out of control and crazy the prosecutors are where you live, they themselves could be a crime. They likely are criminal. You have got to stop this. The ethical concern here isn't misleading a teenager. There's nothing sexist about not giving this girl what she wants because she initiated this ongoing sext exchange with you. The issue here is the legal peril that you are in every second of every day that you engage in this behavior with this girl, that you continue to sext her, and every second of every day that those text messages that you've already sent her lurk on her phone. Get her to delete them. Knock this off. Don't do this. The risk is too great. In John Ronson's terrific Audible series, The Butterfly Effect, he interviews a teenager, I believe in Oklahoma, who can't go to school, can't go to a restaurant, can't live really anywhere at all except on the far outskirts of town because he molested a child, raped a child? No, because when he was 18 years old, he sent some sext messages, crude ones, to a girl that he was interested in who had been interested in him. They never had sex. 18 and 17. That kid's life is ruined. Not through any fault of his own, through the fault of a sex negative, and some would say pornified culture. Part of what John Ronson's Butterfly Effect Audible series is about is how porn has impacted our culture, and the ubiquity of free porn now on the internet has impacted our culture. That kid's life is, if not ruined, seriously curtailed, derailed, distorted. You're at great risk. You are in great peril. Knock this the fuck off. Get those messages deleted. It's 2018, and oh my God, we could all use more sleep because sleep helps us get in the fight. Getting a great night's sleep is easier and more affordable than you think. You don't need a new expensive mattress or sleeping pills. You just need to change your sheets. That's why you should check out Boll & Branch. Everything Boll & Branch makes, from bedding to blankets, is made from pure 100% organic cotton, which means they start out super soft and get even softer over time. You buy directly from them, so you're essentially paying wholesale prices. Luxury sheets can cost up to $1,000 in the store, but Boll & Branch sheets are only a couple of $100. Everyone who tries Boll and Branch sheets loves them. That's why they have thousands of 5-star reviews. And Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, and Fast Company are all talking about Boll and Branch. Boll and Branch also only uses sustainable and responsible methods of sourcing and manufacturing. They donate a portion of every sale to charity to help fight human trafficking while preserving fair prices for consumers. Shipping is free and you can try them for 30 nights. If you don't love your new sheets, send them back for a refund, but I doubt you'll want to send them back. Either way, there's no risk and no reason not to give these sheets a try. To get you started right now, my listeners get $50 off your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com, promo code SAVAGE. That's BOLL and branch.com, promo code SAVAGE, bollandbranch.com, promo code SAVAGE.
Hi there. So my ex-boyfriend called me a couple weeks ago to ask me if he could take my best friend and roommate to his sister's wedding. He knows my best friend and roommate because he spent time with him and obviously like in our apartment and stuff. He called to ask if I would be upset or hurt by taking him. I ended up asking like questions like why, and he basically told me that he was interested in getting to know him more. I ended the conversation telling him that I didn't care and that he should just go and ask him if he wanted. Now that I'm thinking about it and talking about it, I was curious if I should feel some kind of way about it. Like, what should my response have been? Or is it right? Or whatever.
Interestingly, you ask if there's a way you should feel about this. And a lot of people out there would argue that you should be furious, angry, so upset, bro code violation. He wants to date your roommate. He's not allowed to do that. Your ex isn't allowed to date anyone you've ever met in the whole world or lived with or gone to school with. At least that's how it goes in Straight Land. You're a new listener. Thank you to your friend who turned you on to the show. Your friend has probably heard me talk about this before. Straight people do this shit all the time. You can't date my ex-girlfriend because we were together for a year and a half, 10 years ago, and the bro code says, and Straight Land says that you can't date the ex of a friend, that the ex of a friend is radioactive somehow, and it would be a violation, a transgression against your friendship to date that person. And I've frequently pointed out that this dynamic is uncommon in gay land. You don't see this often. You don't hear people often making this argument that because I dated somebody a year ago, 10 years ago, or this person is my roommate and you broke up with me, you can't be interested in this person. You can't date this person. And we don't do this in gay land because we are a tiny percentage of the population. We don't have the luxury of declaring great swaths of humanity, particularly if we're aggressive daters, off limits to our friends and exes. Soon, none of us would be able to date anyone at all. We'd all be stuck at home with a fleshlight we named Robert. So the way you felt about it, which was it gave you pause for a moment, and then you said you'd be fine with it, that would be okay with you, that's the way you should feel about it, the way you actually felt about it. That you're casting around now wondering if instead you should have been angry. Maybe you've picked up on some of this Straight Land bro code bullshit about who gets to date who in the wake of a breakup, and you're curious if you're doing this ex-boyfriend thing wrong. And no, you're doing the ex-boyfriend thing in gay land exactly right. You're doing it the way more straight people should do it. You don't mention who broke up with who, you and the ex. It could be awkward. It could be painful if your ex dumped you and then started to date immediately your roommate. That would be salt in the wound, and your roommate, best friend, and your ex would have to take that into consideration as they rolled their relationship out. They would have to be sensitive to your pain. But if you dumped your ex and he's interested in your roommate and best friend, and your best friend and roommate is interested in him, and you think if you could step out of your own ego for a second, and you think that your ex and your roommate might be good for each other, you should give that your blessing without hesitation and without worrying that you're doing the wounded ex-boyfriend thing all wrong. No, you were doing it all right, all gay right.
Hi, Dan. I'm a 27-year-old queer woman living in Brooklyn. I just had a quick question. I started dating this woman who is 45 years old, and we've been dating for maybe 4 months. It's been going really great. However, she never contacts me like during the day or through the week. It's only when we see each other on the weekends or sometimes during the week that we ever contact each other. I'll text her here and there, but she's not a big texter. She's not into talking on the phone. And to be honest, it's kind of driving me insane because I want to know, how's your day? What's up? What are you doing? And I miss her. So it's something that I'd mentioned to her before, and she said she would try to text me more often or contact me more often. However, it's gotten back to the whole thing again where she's not really talking to me. Anyways, makes me feel like I'm not special, but then also makes me feel like I'm crazy for wanting to talk to her more. So I wanted to know your opinion. How often do you talk to Terry? I know it's a little bit different, but what do you think? Should you only talk to the person when you see them like once or twice a week, or communication during the week, is that okay as well?
How often do I text with Terry? I think others out there in long-term relationships might be able to relate to this. And Terry and I actually moved to address this and tried to change our ways because we both realized that when I got a text from him or he got a text from me, I would look at my phone and see text from Terry and flinch because it was never good news. It was the toilets are overflowing or the house is on fire or the dog died. It was always the bad news, the grind of everyday life. Like, oh my God, this is happening. Come home. And so we began to flinch when we get a text from each other because it was never happy. So we made an effort to like send each other a note every once in a while, mixed into the pile of taxes are due and the house is on fire and the dog is dead. Mixed into that pile of distressing, and neither of our dogs are dead. I probably shouldn't use that example. Please, nobody panic. Mixed into the pile of distressing, panicked, taxes are due texts, we try to stir in a, hope you're having a nice day. Oh, this good thing just happened. I just had a great lunch. Here's a dick pic. We have each other's mutual consent to send each other dick pics. Sometimes pics of our own dicks too. So it's not a problem in our relationship. But it took some effort. So Terry and I do that. Your girlfriend, though, moving on to you, you asked me how we do it. That's how we do it. Moving on to you, you say things are going great in this relationship. You also say that this woman is driving you insane. Those are hard to reconcile. Makes me wonder how serious a problem her communication style is. If you can say at the top of the call, things are going great, but there's this one thing that drives you crazy. Well, that thing that drives you crazy is sometimes the price of admission that you have to pay to be with this person. Your girlfriend, most of her adult life predates the smartphone. Most of her adult life was pre-texting, pre-WhatsApping, pre-Snapchatting, pre-Instagram, DMing. And so it's just not something she incorporated into her daily routines in the way that you, 27-year-old millennial, incorporated the smartphone into your daily routine, where you're always sending and receiving texts and cute messages and emojis and memes and gifts from your friends. Well, you might have to get that kind of daily input, engagement from your friends and not this woman, if she's going to be your girlfriend, if this is going to work out long term, because it's just not in her to provide that to you. You've addressed it. And you have every right to address it. You know, I need to hear from you during the week. It'd be nice if I felt like I had a girlfriend on Monday to Friday and not just on Friday to Sunday. And she made an effort, but not an effort that she could sustain. This might not be in her. So ask yourself if everything else she brings to the table, everything else that you think about when you round this relationship up to going great is worth it, is worth paying the price of admission around texting and around hearing from her constantly. And if it is, pay it. Pay it and shut up. That's the part about the price of admission that some people forget. You pay the price of admission and then you ride the ride. You don't pay the price of admission and then bitch the entire time you're on the ride about how much it costs to ride the ride. Pay the price of admission, shut up, enjoy the ride. Can you pay this price of admission? Can you be with this woman and love her and focus on everything that's great about the relationship and let this go? Because she's just not going to be able to do this for you. And if you can, great. Then this might work out. If you can't, then you're going to have to pull the plug. Seems silly to me to pull the plug over something so minor, particularly if you guys are on track at some point to move in and live together, because then you will get plenty of attention and focus and day in, day out affirmations of her affections for you and her attentions directed toward you and at you.
Hi, Dan. I'm calling about the caller on the episode that was aired on January 2nd who is experiencing like going some other place when they're orgasming with their partner. And I think all of what you said to that person might be going on for them. And I think it's also really important to consider that the sexual assault that happened to that caller when they were 15 could have a role. I'm a therapist that works with survivors of sexual assault, and the caller sounds a lot like they're dissociating. So I think it might be good to explore that either with a therapist or on their own. For example, EMDR or trauma-focused CBT therapy might be really helpful for that caller to work through any lingering residual trauma from that experience that might be playing a role in their dissociation when they're trying to orgasm with their partner.
I'm calling regarding episode 584 and the female attorney dealing with sexist old lawyers. I disagree with Dan's approach of referring to the news because it allows men to say, I would never do that. Instead, I recommend a 3-part response. First, stop laughing or giggling. Don't respond or just, and change the subject. This removes any positive feedback, and it is powerful to refuse a socially expected laugh. Second, when he repeats the comment or asks why you didn't laugh, have a response ready. I didn't think it was funny, or I don't think my appearance is particularly relevant, or I don't discuss my private life at work. Here, you take control of the conversation and give him an out to retract, deny, or apologize. Third and finally, gently change the subject. By keeping your sword sheathed and standing your ground, you leave the door open for further questions and conversation about what comments are appropriate in the workplace and why. I speak from personal experience in a very similar field. If you can do this with grace, you can come out of it with better colleagues and mutual respect. Good luck.
And we're going to leave it there. 206-302-2064 is the number here at the Savage Lovecast. If you'd like to put a question or a comment for a future show, give us a buzz. 206-302-2064. If you like my rants at the top of the show, you will love my rants on Blabbermouth, the Stranger's Weekly political podcast hosted by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Eli Sanders. Check out Blabbermouth wherever you're checking out your podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at FakeDanSavage. Follow Erika Moen of Ojoy Sex Toy on Twitter at Erika Moen. She spells Erica with a K. And be sure to read Savage Love, my weekly sex advice column at thestranger.com and in other newspapers all across the world. The Savage Lovecast is produced every week by Nancy Hartunian and me and the tech-savvy at-risk youth and Nancy. And I'll be back at you next week for an installment of the Savage Lovecast. Thanks for having me.